Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Freedom Friday, where we discuss tips and strategies to help you achieve financial freedom. My name is Nate Scott. It's great to be back again. And today we're going to talk about something in the rate of return world that maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't heard. But I want to tell you that it's actually possible, and we're going to discuss it today, to have an average rate of return of 25%, but yet actually earn absolutely nothing in the investment. Have an average return of 25% and earn absolutely nothing. I'm here to tell you that average returns are not the same as what an actual return is. And some of you may have heard this before, but it's cloudy because most of the investment advisors you go talk to will say, well, we've averaged 10% over the last 10 years or something like that. You say, wow, that's pretty good, in this economy or various things. And so you start to think it's good, but there's a difference between an average return and an actual return. I want to tell you a little bit about that briefly today. And so I went in and I took, just to have kind of something to base this off of, I took the last 15, 16 years returns in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, kind of the stock index. And I went back from 2001 to 2016. In my mind, I was thinking 15 years. It's actually 16 years. But that was my goal, last 15 years. Well, I miscalculated because it counts 2001 to 16. Anyway, so I took the last 16 years essentially in the Dow Jones, and I said, let's just pretend I had $100,000. I wanted to know what the return would be on my investment, what it end up being. And so you go in, and maybe you know how to do an average. All you do is add together all the numbers and divide by how many years it was. So if I add the return for 16 years, divide by 16, that gives me an average. And the average return for the Dow Jones was, what was it, 4.9? Yes, 4.94% was the average return over that 16-year period. And so if I had $100,000 and I went into a calculator and I just earned 4.94% every year, just plugged in the average return every year, and I would end up with about $216,000 at the end of that time frame. From 2001 to 2016, I'd make about $116,000. $216,000 would be the end result. So that's pretty good. But that's just if I average it out. You know that stock markets don't just do 4.94% every single year. They went up, they went down, they earned different returns each and every year. I was like, I wonder if I just typed in each and every year into a calculator the actual return that it earned that year, if I end up with the same number. So I type in all the actual returns that occurred instead of just averaging it. And I don't end up with $216,000, I end up a lot less. In fact, it was $186,000 instead of $216,000. Or the actual return was under 4%, but it averaged right under 5%. So the average return and the actual return were way different. In this case, at the end of that time frame of only 15 years, there was a 15% difference from what you would have thought you would have had if you actually believed the average. It's just actually an illusion. An average return is always different than an actual return when there are down years. If every year you actually went up, guaranteed to go up, the average return would be correct. But anytime you lose money, it throws everything out of whack. And so to illustrate that, I wanted to go into, instead of talking about 16 years, just an over-exaggerated issue, and it'll show you exactly what I mean. So let's say we have that same $100,000 and we earned a crazy return. We earned a 100% return in a year. Our $100,000 would now be worth $200,000. But the next year we'll say you didn't do nearly as well. In fact, you did very poorly, and you had a negative 50% return. And so you lost 50%. Well, now you're $200,000. 50%, that's only 100, so you're back to where you started. And the next year comes along, you can earn 100% and be up to 200,000, and then you're back down. If we lose another 50% the next year, you're back down to 100,000. So we went up 100%, we went down 50%, up, down 50. You're really, in actuality, right back where you started with $100,000. But if you calculated the average return, you would have averaged a 25% rate of return and have made absolutely no money. In fact, a money manager or advisor could say in our fund the last 4 years we averaged a 25% return, and they'd be telling the truth. The problem is it means absolutely nothing. It's pointless. It's an illusion. It's not actually there because no one cares about an average return. What you actually made is the key. And not only that, to top it all off, the market goes up and down, and so the average returns go way out of whack. But on top of that, you're probably getting charged fees and things in these types of accounts, and those come off the top. So it's actually possible to average a positive return and have lost money with the way the market works and the way the fees work inside those programs. So to be honest with you, don't get your mind totally stuck on rate of return, on averages that people tout. There's just a way to make them feel good or sound good. What you want to know is actually what's going on in that environment. There's a lot of deception going on, and anytime something has the potential to go down, all the averages go completely out the window, and they really end up meaning absolutely nothing. So stay with that in your mind when you're thinking, I don't care what the average return, I want to know what the actual return is of whatever it is I'm about to invest in and what it has performed with. And remember, guys, if you don't build your financial freedom, nobody will. So let's get to work. We'll see you next Friday.